Hey folks, how's it going? It's finally time to move up to the Proud Plus difficulty, and since I wanted to be a little better prepared for it, I decided to go full autism and break out an Excel sheet. As you can see, in the top rows I've got my 5 characters divided by role, and in the bottom rows I've got the 3 teams that I will need to prepare for this event. And we start by taking a look at the supposedly hardest one. So, Dichotomous has a special defense buff that goes down based on the amount of debuffs that he gets, and if it's debuffs he wants, Anila is going to be our first pick in here. 12 debuffs on the first skill should make this fight a cakewalk. Damage wise, Summer Beatrix is probably my best character, so I'm just going to slot her in with no regrets. And since the boss takes extra damage when being burned, I think Magiza is going to help a lot in here. This leaves us with a choice for our main character, and since I expect this boss to deal a hell of a lot of AoEs, I think there's no better choice in here than Spartan. You can probably already put Percival in the back row for the moment when Beatrix gets exploded, and at the moment we are already running with 25% defense down, 25% attack down, more defense down, more attack down. On the Spartan I want to run Gravity, a delay, and either a clear or dispel based on what I see on the boss, and we should be good for our third team. Moving on to the Queen Bee, she's got some very nasty single target nukes, as well as a couple of AoE triggers. Sadly I don't have good characters with dodge and counter skills, so I'm going to try and damage cap them, and the Awkwars bringing along a Veil and then attack and defense down can be fairly useful. Damage wise I want to go with Gandagosa. He's got fairly good DPS, great sustainability and fairly decent buffs for the rest of the team. For our support slot we might need some extra healing or a clear, but I don't really want to bring Yule in here. Her echo is going to be a lot more beneficial in the first fight. So let's leave that slot open for the moment. Our MC is probably going to have to be a Spartan. I need as many damage cuts as I can get. I also want to bring at least Gravity, since the Queen Bee is going to have a single charged diamond down at the end. I probably also want to bring Delay and a Clear, or a Resurrection. Or I can move the Awkward Third Year down to the support slot and bring Grea as an added DPS. I'm going to try and run Defense Break on the Spartan, which gets added to the Awkward's Mist-like Defense Break and the Colossus Defense Break, and put Gravity and Delay alongside it. My expectations are very low, but hope is the last to die. So, moving up to the Triple Hornets, all we need to do here is to have a very nuke intensive team that can bring down the Hornet Commander on the first turn. We don't really care about the other two since the Hornet Warriors does some very minor damage and the Hornet Medics mostly just buffs and clears. Our best option for our main character is obviously the Berserker. For our attacker slot we're going to go with Zeta. Being an assassin, she's the one with the highest burst damage out there. And of course, if you want to nuke hard, Echo is always a great option. So we're going to slot Ewell in our support slot, and you can start thinking about this special. We need to boost our damage a little bit. Sadly, my TN is still only 4 star, so she doesn't have her own assassin skill. But we can still give her a chance. If things don't work out, I kinda want to put Clarice in the back row of the first team, and swap her out for Tien as I bring an extra nuke on the MC. Another character with no team is Zalamelina, and I believe that should things go wrong, her shield, regen and damage cut can do wonders against the third boss. And lastly, Anturia can go against the Queen Bee in an Ultima melee team. Should anybody die, or well, the moment anybody dies, she can come in and try and taunt and dodge. To recap, Zerker can cap defense down, Zeta as an assassin, Teal should deal some damage, and Duo as her echo. In the second team, Spartan brings one defense break, the second defense break comes from the Walkers and the third comes from Colossus. Gandagosa is to tank and deal damage, Grea deals damage and has a dispo. The Ogres also bring Veil, charge bar boost and a damage cut, and the another damage cut comes from the Spartan. In the third team, Magisa can bring attack defense down, burn and blind, Anila has attack defense down and a ton of debuffs, Summer Beatrix just damage, Percival just damage. I'm not sure if Fear can come in handy, but should it land it's always welcome. And of course, Spartan brings his damage cut. Zalamelina is there in the case where everything goes wrong. So, the setup looks alright, let's go build our teams and see if and how it works. So, the bees, the lovely bees. As you can notice, I've made a little change to the team and I've put Zoe instead of Tien. That is because there was no way in hell I could deal enough damage in just one turn, and the fight was always steered by too much RNG based on whoever the Hornet decided to one-shot. So this way I can be safe from the first trigger and hopefully take the Hornet down on the second turn. And in order to maximize my damage, I'm going to Assassin on the first turn and Shiva on the second. Only a double attack from Zeta, but at least the Hornet is down to 48% already. Another nearly 1 million nuke, and a quick check to the debuffs to see if everything's there. Now it's time for you to go. Why do you do this to me, Zeta? Why? Well, at least he hit Zoe. Please, Clarice, take care of it. Come on, Clarice, you can do it. Oh, right, these are percentage damage based on the current health. Well, come on, Colossus. Die! Why won't you die? Goddamn Hornets. Well, the fight is all downhill from here. The big threat is gone, so all we need to do is try and keep defense down on the first Hornet, since the second one is going to try and clear it. But we should be fine. Also, one little thing, if you use a potion in the first fight, you will not have that potion available in your second or third fights. In order to keep my enmity up, I'm going to use Grimnir instead of healing. And with the Warrior B finally gone, we won't be taking any more damage. The main issue here is trying to deal with these clears.
この槍の力見せてあげる。思いっきり暴れられそうね。こんな感じ。まだまだこんなもんやないで。お仕置きや。どうや。どう。
And with this, the Hornet fight is finally complete. That took me way longer than I would have liked to, but in the end, Zeta did a fairly good job. And so did Clarisse. So now it's the time to move on to the Queen Bee. As you can see, I decided to make some changes to this team as well. I swapped out the 3rd year A course for Anthuria and the Spartan main character for a Chaos Ruler. That is because the damage cuts weren't enough to keep my team alive and safe. So instead I'm sacrificing a little bit of defense down, since now my only 2 sources of it are the Unpredictable and the Colossus Summon. And I'm trying to debuff the boss as much as possible using Unpredictable, and should it land on the double attack or triple attack down, or the burn or the blind, they're all great debuffs to have, and I'm using Anthuria to try and dodge everything she can. I wouldn't say if, but when things are going to go wrong, at least I've got a revive on the main character. And we're off to a great start. But at least we can put up a veil. One more turn before I can actually Ogi with everyone. And let's try and protect ourselves with a little bit of a damage cut. The main character is going to be left behind from this Ogi, but it's not that big of a deal, as Granblue can fill up his own charge bar on the next turn and allow us to do another 2-man chain right after this. And a great job from Anthuria there. Using the equals 30 second skill is kind of useless, it's just going to miss. It counts as a miserable mist. But one thing I hope they can fix soon is Gandagossa's Ogi. Right after it, he gets another frame of his white animation, and that can cause a little bit of a seizure.
いらっしゃい。
古今無双すべてを破壊せん。
これでやっ今なら最高のこれでやっまだ大丈夫ですわ。元気いっぱい。このみんなの安らぎをこのあなたに捧げる。これでやっやっ
And with the Ogre Sogi and Anturia possibly dodging the next hit, this is a great time to call on Yggdrasil and try and heal up a little bit. Ouch! But at least she's still alive.
フォローは私たちに任せて。これ踊りましょう。さあ行きましょう。激励の舞踏よ。元気になって。
拳に始まり拳がたぎっておるわ。
踊りましょう。
Right, we're getting closer to the 50% trigger, and should everything go right, we might be able to make it synchronize with the Recharge Diamond Dogi. Sadly, Anturia doesn't make it, but maybe Grea can push us below 50%. Sadly, we didn't manage to, but I will take the break state anyway. So let's revive Anturia and pray that the next ones that go down are the third years. Damn it.
頼りにさせていただきます。これはみんなの安らぎをこのあなたに捧げる。夢のように踊りましょう。ロッソパッシオーネ。いらっしゃい。
And this is where she goes down to one charged diamond. Now we really need that gravity.
りましょう。
And albeit begrudgingly, I'm still going to use a potion on Gandagosa. The lad needs it.
拳がたぎっておるわ。
みんなが一緒なら大丈夫。
そこをどけ。
これ踊りましょう。力がみなぎるわ。突き刺め。最高。激励の舞踏よ。元気になって。ハグしてあげる。
シャクシャク関東。
これいくよ。踊りましょう。ついてこられるかしら。このままあなたに捧げるわ。ですわ。
And it took a while, but at last we have our burn.
ひどくしてあげる。
With 3 stacks of hype and 3 people with full charge bar, I believe this is the last good chance we'll get to use a Shiva.
夢のように踊りましょう。ロッソパッシオーネ。ひどくしてあげる。
And with Gandagosa down, we've entered the deep shit territory.
関というに。
これいくよ。これでやっ。
震える風よ。
Help me!
We've got to use our second potion as well. At this point, I don't care about the third boss anymore.
これでさすがにきついかな。シノブと共に踊りましょう。このみんなに安らぎ。このまま
The next revive is only 2 turns away. Hopefully, we can survive long enough.
夢のように踊りましょう。ロッソパッシオーネ。お前たち。これでいくよ。踊りましょう。お前たち。
The Oquers fall to the poison,
まだ参るわ。
but we might still have a chance. Do you hear the panic? Because I think I've heard the panic.
やっ踊りやっ。
And with Anthuria gone, we've got to hope you can survive 2 more turns. It's just 2 more turns until the fight is over. Even though at this point, I don't know what to click on anymore. So, patient with the Yogi. Good, MC is still alive. And 1 more for the finish. Hoping for an attack buff out of Yggdrasil, just to make sure. But there we go. The struggle is finally over. I can move on to the 3rd stage. Alright, we are up for serious business now. So, there's his defense buff. Hopefully Anila can take care of it by herself.
力を合わせれば必ず勝てよ。戦い方を考えないとな。権限なさい。魔人モラクス。さあ、楽しみましょう。すべて失う覚悟はできてるかしら。お願いね、モーさん。まとめてお仕置きや。
Jesus, what's with the damage? I don't know how big of a boost it is to have a boss under the burn status, but that almost feels a bit like too much damage. Right, one last turn before the trigger. And phalanx. Hopefully nobody dies. But these are fairly weak numbers. Just 1000 damage through phalanx, while Beatrix only took 3k due to her own defense down. Compare this to the Queen Bee before and, well, it just feels wrong. So far the only one taking damage is Bea, but you know how it goes. Bea is getting bullied. In other news, water is wet. Still, I don't believe it's just Magisa and Anila turning this fight into a cakewalk. There's definitely something wrong in here. But for the moment, we're approaching the 50% trigger, and this carbuncle should allow us to walk safely through it. No phalanx? No problem. So, down to 50% is just a full clear and a ripple. Now to find out how much damage that ripple does. It's just a 500 damage ripple per hit. I honestly expected much more out of this. And if I hadn't had enough of the event by now, I probably would have gone back to rework on some themes, at least to try and optimize the Queen Bee fight. As far as this fight goes instead, I'm trying to save Arogi for the moment where Anila's debuffs are back up again. Alright, we managed to push him down to 25%. And there is the nuke. Where have this been hiding the whole fight? Right, so hopefully Bea can dodge a couple of attacks and heal back up with the help of Yggdrasil. If not, Percival is waiting in the back row. Alright, nice, the boss isn't even immune to fear. The real question now is he going to have a 10% trigger? And there he does. Goodbye, Percival. 35,000 damage in the face. Well, but the boss is down to 6% already. And that revive is kind of useless. I'm afraid they took a bit of a wrong approach to try and make this boss difficult. That 35,000 damage nuke should have been way up in the 85 or 75% trigger range. But alas, Dacronius went down. Now, for the final verdict. I very much like the new reward system, I enjoyed the new difficulties, I only wish they weren't a one-time thing. I, for one, enjoy working my themes around and trying to optimize the runs, and that's not something you can do when you only have one shot. For example, if I knew that the third fight was so damn easy, I would go back and modify the theme for the Queen Bee. Instead, if I wanted to do so, I would have to forfeit my run, and it's not something that I can do anymore. So overall, it was a very fun event and I can't wait for the next iteration of it. Again, the only thing I'll change is to give us a one-time reward for beating Proud and Proud Plus, and then scale down the loot to a normal level. And for now, that's everything. See you next for the Guild War.